sir. Good evening, sir.
Hope you're well. So you can just go on so that they can invite their friends and share while we prepare to begin.
Okay, sir. Okay, good evening, everyone. I hope you can hear me. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Welcome again today. Thank you for taking out time to be here this evening. Um, what I would like us to do before we start is to share the flyer again on our statuses, in our class groups or our friends that we have invited, telling them that we are about to start. So after that, we will start the program for today. Welcome, Samuel. Please, I said before some of us came in, I said that we should kindly share the flyer again. Um, telling people that we have started. Thank you. Okay. If you were there yesterday, I want to be sure that you had an amazing time. So while we are waiting for more people to join the call, um, I want either one of or two of us to like share what they learned from yesterday's session. If you like to speak, you can just raise up your hand, then I'll call you. Or you can just type in the in call message box. Okay. Nobody wants to share anything. Okay, we're going to be starting now. Um, Good evening, everyone. Welcome to day two of Lead Africa National Campus Leadership Conference 2025. For those who were present yesterday, you will agree with me that yesterday was a great one, as two of our amazing speakers, they gave us insight, they shared with us wisdom and ideas that could solve the problems, the real life problems that we can see around, that we have around us. For those that may be joining us for the first time, my name is Victoria Oyetade, and I'll be your host for this conference. Again, I want to assure you that today is going to be as impactful as yesterday. We have a lineup of two other amazing speakers that will be addressing topics regarding leadership through homemaking and entrepreneurship. So, again, just like I said yesterday, I would like us to have an open mind, take notes, and ask questions that can be useful for us now and even in future. Without further ado, I'll be welcoming the Executive Director of Lead Africa Initiative and the convener of this conference for the welcome address of Mr. Elijah Stephen.
All right, yeah, thank you so much, Miss Victoria. I hope that you can hear me clearly, right? Can you hear me?
Clearly, sir.
All right, so I want to say a very big thank you to you for the amazing work that you've done so far. Thank you for yesterday, and thank you for today as well. And also, we have Mr. Daniel Lushola with us. Thank you so much for yesterday. We have Mrs. Evelyn Akande present here this evening. Glad to have you, Emma. And in fact, just like I said yesterday, I trust that in fact for many of the people who attended yesterday, that you gained value for your time, and I understand that today is not going to be an exception as well. So we have, like Ms. Victoria said, that we have amazing speakers today who are going to take us through uh, what it means to live through homemaking, and what it means to live through business as well. And as you all know, what Lead Africa is all about is ensuring that a new generation of leaders within our country and the African continent at large, rather, are raised in such a way that we not only have people who call themselves leaders, just thinking about the positions and the titles, but people who are aware that leadership is more about responsibility, influence. People who are aware that they have to model the kind of life that they want people to live as well. To ensure that the leaders who we have are people who are ethical, people who are visionary, and people who are concerned about the transformation of their lives, and as well as the people who are with them. So I want to encourage that if you got a lot of value from this yesterday too. As well, reach out to your friends, share the flyer on your WhatsApp status and other platforms that you think may be very helpful um, in inviting people. Let them know that we're about to begin, and let them know that these two sessions are sessions that they do not want to miss. I want to encourage you to just pay attention, to listen. If you have questions, there'll be an opportunity for you to ask your question. And I want to assure that I believe that we'll have a lot of time learning together and enjoying the moments that we have this evening. Thank you once again. And thank you for joining. And I hand over to Ms. Victoria to lead us through the remaining part of this meeting this evening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Elijah. Right about now, we are going to be having one of our speakers, that is Mrs. Evelyn Akande, for the first session. Evelyn Akande is a wife, mother, and the founder of Kanda Natural, a passionate natural skincare formulator. She creates gentle, effective products inspired by a desire to care for her family with pure, safe ingredients. Through Kanda, she empowers others to embrace clean beauty and confident living. And the topic Mrs. Evelyn is going to be addressing this evening is leading through homemaking, excelling more and more at family health and family finance. Let us welcome Mrs. Evelyn.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm trying to share my screen. I will just okay. So I believe it is up now. You can hear me, you can see me, and you can see my screen, right? Please confirm.
Yes, ma.
All right, thank you. Good evening, everyone. And I'd like to thank the team at Lead Africa for this opportunity. Just to give a disclaimer. So I am not a guru. I am not an expert in this. I'm hoping we can just have a conversation and encourage one another based off, what we have learned and what we know. And of course, I will be sharing some things that I have learned along the journey. And from our questions, our conversations, I'm hoping we're able to really push one another because that's what leadership is all about. It's not just one person doing it all. So I hope we'll have a good time together. So I have been given the task to speak about leading through homemaking. I'm supposed to talk about how we excel more and more in our family health and in our finances. And I have anchor passages here from scripture, Proverbs chapter 20, verse 6, and Proverbs 31, verse 10 to 31. And I must say, Proverbs 31 is one of those passages that I am sure men just go and look up and, oh, I want to marry your wife and this is what she must look like and all of that. But today I'm going to debunk that to say that, there's something we can learn from it all as leaders, as young people, young adults, men, women, something we'll go right into it and read the scripture as our anchor text for today. Proverbs chapter 20, verse 6 says, many claim to have unfailing love, but a faithful person who can find. This is Old English. Basically, what it is saying to you and I today is talk is cheap, faithfulness is rare, and real leaders, they don't just say things, but they show it. So you have to be the one that shows up, that follows through, just like our Savior Jesus Christ every single time. So it's not enough for you to say. Many people talk about love, they talk about loyalty, they talk about commitment and all of that. But this passage is reminding us that truly dependable people are rare. People that actually say and do, they are rare. That words they are very easy, but living out with consistent action, that is where the hard part is. So whether it's in our friendship or in our marriages or in our teams, a lot of people will promise to stand by you and very few will remain. So as young adults, as students, this is a call, this is a challenge to lead with integrity and to back up our words with action, even when no one is watching. So that is what that passage is saying. So we remember this as we go through our session, as it will help guide our thoughts and some of the things that we're going to look at. Proverbs chapter 31. Proverbs 31, we won't read the whole of 10 to 31, but we'll just pick out 24. And it says, she makes linen garments and sells them and supplies the merchants with sashes. Now, all of this grammar can just be like, but what it's saying is she creates quality products, she sells them, she supplies businesses, she's entrepreneurial, she's resourceful. So that is what this passage is speaking about. I will leave this on the screen just because we'll keep on coming back to the Proverbs 31 woman. And please, as I said earlier, as much as it is the Proverbs 31 woman, it is really the men too can learn one or two things from the woman in here. So this is where I would pause and I would love to get feedback from one or two people about what comes to your mind when you hear the word homemaking. You can unmute your mic and say something. Is anyone willing to take that on? Homemaking. What is the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear the word homemaking? Can you guys hear me, or am I alone?
Yes, yes,
No,
we
ma.
can hear you.
Okay, all right, thank you. So
Yeah.
what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear the word homemaking, or have we heard the word before? This is the first time
The
we're
the
hearing it.
the the act of taking care of the home.
Okay, thank you. The act of taking care of a home. So the truth is, homemaking is more than just, taking care of the home, is more than just chores. Some of us think of pots and pans when we think of homemaking, laying the bed, mopping the floor, and all of that. But it's actually about creating order, creating peace, and ensuring that there's growth in the space where, and the relationships that have been entrusted to us. It could be between husband and wife, it could be between brother and sister, it could be between friends, whatever it is. So it's about leading in that sense of giving a vision to say, this is what we're doing, this is how we're going to do what we're doing. And it is stewardship, using all the resources that God has blessed you with and God has given you, and using them well. It is that intentional care that allows people to flourish. So it's not just, you see, when we say, oh, it's about the home and all of that, yes, it is, but you see how wide and broad it is. So whether it's in your family home, whether it's in your dormitory, whether it's in your workspace, or whatever it is, it's really how you manage these resources, your time, your health, so that the environment brings out the best in order. So that is really, homemaking is that broad. And leadership, I'm sure when we talk about leadership, you just think, oh, someone that employs like 500 people, someone that has this large company, CEO that is always wearing suit and tie and all of those things. Well, it's not really the case. Leadership has to do with that, to influence, to guide, to inspire others. It's what's a shared vision. It could be even in service, when you're serving someone, it could be doing team assignments and things like that, how you take care of your responsibility. So it's really not about your title. It's about living with integrity. It's about casting, the vision, saying this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to do it, this is why we're doing what we're doing, and serving others with humility as Christ did. So when you merge leadership and you merge homemaking, you see that homemaking becomes a form of leadership, because it is about shaping environments where people will thrive. And this is one of the highest forms of influence that anybody will ever have. And the truth is, in God's eyes, even when we read through scripture and we read even from our anchor text here, the Proverbs 31 woman, you see how managing a home well, it's training ground for managing bigger responsibilities. If you're able to lead with care, in this small circle, then you are able to lead excellently anywhere. And that is why we are looking at this as a very vital part of leadership. Now, why should we even bother looking at this as young adults, as students, as people just trying to figure it out? Some people might be thinking, oh, I'm unmarried. This is not my problem. Like, what is homemaking? I beg, I don't have any home to make, or I don't have any husband to take care of and whatnot. That's not necessarily um, the case. It is that it matters to all of us at every phase that we have found ourselves, and everywhere that you are now, it matters and it is important, because the truth is that the life skills that you learn early, they shape long-term success. So homemaking does matter. We have established the fact that it is not just about, I have a partner, I am married, I have children. No, it's wherever you are, as a student in secondary school, as a university person, as a young graduate, as a young adult waiting for marriage, or whatever it is, whatever phase you find yourself, it is important. So leadership in homemaking matters, because the skills that you learn early, it will shape your long-term success. So it doesn't just start in the workplace. You don't just jump into work. You don't just jump into marriage. It starts from somewhere. It starts small with everyday decisions. I know those of us in university and those of us that went through university, I mean, you were in university with some SUG presidents now, and they were your classmates, they were your classmates, and you wonder, like, where did this person get this from? We're just here on 100 level, and somebody is, campaigning for a position, secretary of the department, and all of that. Where did they get all of that from? It started somewhere, and you hear some of them today. They're the politicians, they're the people that are doing certain things and whatnot. These are all the steps, and there were some of the skills that they were learning from university, from secondary school, from just um, service year and all of that, that built them up to become what they are eventually. So learning how to manage a home teaches problem solving. You learn how to, oh, the plumber is, you have plumbing issues, your bed is bad, you need to call a carpenter, or you need to fix it yourself because you can't give anybody money. And all of those things are things that eventually play out in our adulthood and in life. Generally, it teaches you planning, teaches you responsibility. Oh, should I lock my door today, or should I leave my door open so that thieves will come and take all that I have? Those are things that you learn even at a very tender age, and that takes you to homemaking, into leadership. And the truth is, those who practice these skills early carry on into their careers, into their relationships, into their community. So this is a long-term thing. Another reason why we see both matter and are important is because health and financial discipline, it starts now at any point you find yourself, whether you're in secondary school, whether you're in university, whether you're, just serving or looking for a job or whatever it is. This is the time to learn discipline, especially when you're young. If you do not know how to wake up 30 minutes before your lecture so you can take a bath, eat, or get to your lecture right on time, you most likely, will struggle with it when you eventually get into the corporate world and you actually start working. So this young adulthood is the best time to learn discipline. Okay, how do I manage my resources? How do I manage my food? How do I manage my time? How do I manage my relationships? All of these things, this is when you learn it. If you can manage your money, if you can manage your meals, if you can manage your well-being, you will avoid the struggles that will come later on, because you've already learned how to say no to certain things. You've already learned how to accept certain things. You've already known how to maneuver your way around certain things. So these are all the skills that are good for us, even as leaders. And strong leaders know how to care for themselves and steward resources wisely. So that is why, leading in homemaking is important, because it's a skill that you have and you're able to navigate whatever comes your way. We also see that for those of us in the university, for those of us serving, this all of this, there are lots of things that will happen that will be a training ground for real life leadership, and just how you live in the hostel with your roommates, or if you stay off campus, it might be a compound where there are other people. There's banter, there are things that happen there. How you relate with these people, your relationship with them, how you share your hostel, your apartment, shared place, or even your first home when you get married. There are certain things, all of these things, how you manage all of these things. It's training. It's training for later on. How you treat your space, your time, your relationships. It reflects, the kind of leader that you are becoming. Are you the one that is just going to sit down, fold their arms, and let everything happen? Or are you the one that will take matters into their own hands? Are you the one that is proactive? Are you the one that is thinking, oh, we should do this? Or you just want things to automatically happen? You see how all of these things are intertwined and how everything plays together. Homemaking is stewardship and responsibility. It is for all genders. As I said earlier, when we look at the Proverbs 31 woman, it is the things that she is doing. It is not, as much as she's the one, but she's ensuring that her family is cared for. She's ensuring that she has things to do. She's not idle. She's not just sitting down and not doing anything. She has everything figured out. When you look at this woman, you just know that this is just somebody that is just a human being that has figured out her life and what she wants to do, how her household is going to run, and all of that. So it can be flipped anyway. Yes, some things might not fit in for the men, but the truth is, either way, it just shows an organized person who has set a pace for herself and what she wants to do. So homemaking is stewardship and responsibility for all genders. So it's not just a woman's duty, because at the end of the day, it's about managing life well. So whether you're a man or a woman, a boy or a girl, young man, young woman, you want to manage your life well. So it's about taking care of what God has entrusted you with, your health, your money, your time, your resources, your relationships, your friendships, all of those things. And the truth is, everyone is called to leadership in one way or the other. And that home is that first classroom where you learn how to do all of these things. So homemaking is not just about chores, it's about our character. It's about stewardship. How do you manage what God has blessed you with? How do you lead in that? By leading, I mean, how do you guide? How do you influence? How do you inspire? So when we embrace as young people these homemaking skills, and first of all, even just getting it in our head that it's not something you do when you get married, or it's not something you do when you move out of your parents' home, is something you're already starting to do now. It helps you to lead your family. It helps you to lead your community. It helps you to lead your nation in whatever phase of life you find yourself. So it's not about if you're married or not, or if you're old or young or whatnot. It's more about making the best of your situation. So I've been talking and I have not said anything about myself. So I'll give a brief just to tie into everything that we have been saying. When I was in university, I went to Ibi Zaria, and my meal prep game was very basic, very simple. Indomie, boiled eggs, cook. Indomie, eggs, cook. That was it. And I didn't think of myself as a homemaker. I didn't think I was doing anything. I was just trying to survive lectures, my assignments, late night study sessions. But the truth is, I was learning some of the most important skills that I would ever need in life, things like even budgeting. Because for me, the reason why Indomie was good was because Indomie was cheap. It was fast. So I was learning time management. Like, I can't come and be pounding yam. I can't come and be cooking soup and doing. There were times for all those things, but if I wanted a sharp meal because I had a lecture to get to, it was Indomie because it was pocket friendly. It made sense. So don't ask me about the cook, but yes, everything just made sense, and these things were things that I picked up even from then, trying to be efficient, trying to make everything work, trying to, eat and ensure that I was out there. So I had to figure out how to stretch my allowance because, um, I can't eat all the fancy meals. It wasn't every time that you go out and go and eat. Many times you had to cook. And I even had to figure out how to, boil the egg in the water for the Indomie, just so, gas can always down. So you have to rationalize all of it. And my roommate, then we had our method of, okay, if one person is cooking Indomie, another person is going to go and buy the cook and whatnot, just to save time. That was how we did all of that. For us, all of things were not like, it's not like we're doing anything in our minds. We're just trying to survive. So this was how we had to create a daily routine. How will I attend classes and without getting late, getting on time, and days where you have to walk to school, you have to be up hours before then, and days where you had money to take a bike, you take a bike and you're there sharply. So all of those things were planning. I had to figure out how to finish my assignments, and then in all of that still find time to rest, because at the end of the day, you're only human. I learned how to keep my space clean, how to make decisions about the things that I spent on, because of course we're in school, there were handouts to purchase, there were snacks, there were just all sorts of things that you could easily spend your money on. And you know that you cannot come and ask your parents for money every 2 seconds. It has to be, if they give you money for the month, you have to figure it out. How you're going to survive all through that month is your problem. So all of these things are things that, I picked up. Maintaining relationships with friends without drama. I mean, there are some people that you just know that this person, we can't be friends because why are you like this? All of these things are skills that, started somewhere and have brought me to where I am. An egg. It didn't feel like I was homemaking or practicing anything. It just felt like I was just adulting. It was just adulting 101. I just wanted to survive. But the thing is, some of these skills is what I picked up. some of these things that I picked up in school, attending classes and dealing with life in general as a student, as a young adult, and even in my service year, because I had to stay on my own in a state that I had never been to, trying to figure it out, trying to find friends, trying to um, just understand the culture in the States and all that was going on. All of these things are things that I now use in my home and in my business. I studied in the university, I studied theater and performing arts. And I know that in today's world, theater and performing arts seems like a joke, but the truth is, it is one of those things that has taught me discipline. Because when we had our call times, you dare not come 5 minutes late, you dare not come 2 minutes late. Our lecturers won't take it. There are certain disciplines that you had to have. There are certain, like, we didn't have time to play around. As much as it looked like a fun course, we would do performances and we would have our friends, our family members come and watch. And oh, you don't even realize the hard work that goes into it. A semester, there were semesters we had to read at least like 35 literature books. And sometimes the drama or whatever it is you're going to do, the play and the performances you're going to do is based off that book. You're going to have everything in your head. So when you see actors and actresses, those that know what they're doing, you know that it's not a joke. So all of these things are things that help today, that I had to go through certain training, I had to do certain things to learn how to discipline myself, how to be able to just stay still, to be able to read, to be able to say I'm dedicating 1 hour to do this, to learn a skill, to research. If you want to, if they give you a task, okay, you have to act like a doctor. How do you act like a doctor? You can't just wake up early in the morning and okay, and assume. No, you have to research. You have to find out, how do doctors behave? How do they speak? How do they dress? All of these things, and you will bring it to the and you bring it your you'll be graded based on all of this. For to a few years after that, now a wife and trying to figure out meals. Okay, how do we eat? How do we make it nutritious? How do we make it make sense? And then there's finances. Now it's not just me, it's not just my money. I'm going to spend it, it's our money. Are we going to spend it? And then you're doing that, and then children come. So now I had children, and then one of my sons had really sensitive skin. The can like to roll on the ground, eat anything, put his hand in his mouth and whatnot, and you have all sorts of rashes on his body. And because I was just tilting towards natural stuff, I didn't want any synthetic thing for him. That all of those skills that I had learned back then of researching, trying to figure it out. Don't just go with, oh, this is how it's done. You take it, figuring it out for myself. I started to research, started to read up about how I could use natural products to make something for his skin that would soothe him, that would heal the skin. And really, that was how my business was born. That I started to do all of these things, research. And for any of my friends that is here or anybody that knows when we started, I mean, the products are very, where you know we have grown, thank God for growth, because of learning and just that time to go through trying to figure it out. The products were not the best, but then again, we would give family, we would give friends, and they'll give feedback, and with trainings, going for several trainings, still training till today. The company is what it is today. Now, all of that to say that everything to me from secondary, university, service, early marriage, all of that has come to play a part in my life. It has not been useless. It hasn't been pointless. There's a reason why it is where it is. So back in secondary school, it might not look like I was homemaking, I was learning anything. But the truth is, there were certain skills. I went to a Catholic secondary school, and of the discipline till now, you cannot catch me touching a wall, because I know how the reverend sisters will not allow you to do stuff like that, or walking a certain way, slouching and all those things. It might not have made sense to me, it might have just been like, these people are just stressing my life. But the truth is, these are some of the things that now leave me, because of the training that came with all of that. And it is like that for all of us. There are things that you're picking up. You are in this training, you're in this position now, you're and in this time, you could easily be doing something else. But because you value knowledge, because you want to know more, you want to learn from people's experiences, that is why you're here. And something you might pick from something you would use eventually. And that is how life is. That the truth is, leadership often starts small. If you think about all the times that you were host rep or you were the team lead for a project, all of it's that we went to university with students and some of them were selling things. Like some people were, as students, you would give them your money. We had students who could make hair. I mean, thinking about it now, I should have done this because I used to make hair in secondary school, but I was paying other students to make my hair. I mean, maybe some of them now have salons and they are gurus in their fields and whatnot. In that same university, you have people who started with SUG, they were secretary, they were treasurer, and all of those things, and they are where they are today. So you see how people are able to make the best of their situation, not to sit down and say, oh, I'm only a student, I can't do this. That is to say that this homemaking can be anywhere you find it. It is not about in, a home with husband and children and whatnot. No, it might look like that for somebody, but for you, it might just be you in your dormitory making the best of your situation. So that being said, now we come to the two pillars that we've been given for homemaking, which is leadership in our family health and in our finances. Leadership in family health, we'll look at some verses from Proverbs 31:15 and 27. So what it's saying is that's the one in yellow for those following. She rises while it is yet night, and she provides food for our household. She looks well to the ways of our household and does not eat the bread of idleness. When we think about health, I'm sure the first thing that comes to your mind is, okay, I'm not in your hospital bed, so I'm healthy, I'm whatnot. But according to WHO, it is really that general state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. So it's not just the absence of um, disease or infirmity. So, and there are different aspects to health. So there's the physical health, there's the mental health, there's the social health, there's the spiritual health. Remember, we are looking at how you can lead in just being in whatever phase you find yourself. How do you ensure that your physical health is optimal, your mental health is optimal, your social health is optimal, your spiritual health? For those of us who are Christians, we have a sense of purpose, we have values, we have our connection to God. We know that we have been called for something bigger than ourselves. So these are all the things that we are looking at. How do we excel? How do we lead in family health? And this, I'm going to try to be as practical as possible. We have looked at the Proverbs 31 woman who is just a go-getter. She's doing things. She's ensuring that her family is healthy. They are well. She's waking up on time to ensure that everything has been set in place. And you see why this is not necessarily about the man or the woman, because the men to ensure that the families are well and everything is going well. The women to ensure that there's wellness for everybody, that everybody's fine. So how do we lead? How do we excel in our homes through homemaking, in our dormitories, in our apartments? We can do things like plan our meals. So you don't have to be a mom, you don't have to be a wife, you don't have to be 50 before you are making healthy meals, before you are planning your meal. Right now, thank God to ChatGPT, AI, and whatnot. You can even write it down. Plan a meal, a 7-day meal for a student that lives on 10,000 naira per day. Plan a meal for a Nigerian student. It will give you everything. You're able to, do a rotation in such a way that, okay, you have your proteins, you have your carbs, you have this. Yes, the country is hard, but the truth is, if you can't do chicken, you can do beef. Okay, I heard beef is more expensive than chicken. If you can't do if you can't do beef, you can do chicken. If you can't do chicken, you can do panla. If you can't do panla, you can do egg or crayfish or granite. There are all of these options. You make it work, but ensure that it is healthy. Thank God vegetables are even cheap for us in our country. At least we have the ugus, we have the spinach and all of these things. So you don't be like me, Indomie and egg. At least you put carrot and you put some things, because all of this is what will help you to be well generally. All of this will enhance how you lead and how you do well in life generally, because when you are healthy, when you are sound, you are able to produce the very best. You're able to put in all the work, and you're able to, do much more. So ensure that you make the best of your situation with whatever meals you have. You can also bulk buy. Now, bulk buying, some people say it's for people who have a lot of money. Not necessarily. Even in the dormitory, even in the hostel, even as a copper, there are times where you can come together as 5 people. So instead of buying 5 bulbs of tomatoes, you can buy dustbin baskets. You buy, one person will go to the market for everybody, and you chip in your money. That is the way you can do bulk buying. You can buy, you can make your soup in a large quantity, and you keep reheating it at least till it runs out, instead of just cooking for that particular day, and then it's the same gas that you waste and all of that. So these are all ways that you can do to just ensure that everything is in check, and you have all that you need. So you're saving money, you're reducing waste by doing all of these things. Another thing we can talk about for how we can lead in our family health generally is to have, and this is family health. So because even if you are single, it's going to be that you have family members, or you are staying in a community, or you have friends. So that those are all the people that we are referring to as family, and it is in such a way that everybody can enjoy something in it. So as I said, it's not just for the single, is not just for the married. Anybody really, you can make it work to your situation wherever you find yourself as a young adult. You have no excuse to be eating outside all the time. It's better for you to make meals because they are healthier, they are safer, they are cheaper even for you. Wellness, awareness, and preventive care. The truth is, we don't like to take care of ourselves in this part of the world, till someone gets critically ill before they go to the hospital. We don't like to do checkup. If you're in the university, I am sure there are health insurance plans. If you're a young adult, newly married, married for a long time, health insurance is very good. It's very important. You don't have to wait till that day your wife falls ill or you fall ill, even as a younger adult. That 5K, that 10K that they will remove from your pocket for malaria medicine, if you have been remitting the 1K or the 500 every month prior to that time, it wouldn't hurt that much. These are things that you can do to ensure that there's no surprise. Whatever checkup you can do. Many of us live in communities. In Nigeria, every once in a while, you hear they are doing this outreach. Oh, they are checking BP, they are checking this one, they are checking that. Make use of all these opportunities. If it's that you can't even afford to do them yourself, learn basic first aid. You don't have to wait till the day you have a nosebleed or something. Learn, how can I if should this happen, someone is choking, what can I do? How can I help the person? These are all things that will help us be the very best, and to manage our time, our energy, resources, everything that God has blessed us with. Stress and mental health is another aspect of our family health that is very important. You have to ensure that you live in a clean environment. It's not about having, you, 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 cleanliness has just your room, your 1 room apartment. You clean it up, make sure it's clean. That way your mind is even able to rest. It's a good foundation for good health, that your brain can even just relax. As a student, you're not having so much. Imagine you come into a room, there are books here, there's this, that. You can't really focus. You limit screen time too. Now we live in an age where we're all on social media. Instagram is here, calling your attention. WhatsApp is here. This one is happening right now. Some of us are on this call, and I'm sure some people are still chatting. Some people are still, you're doing 5 million other things. All of those things, you have to phase it out, and you have to limit screen time, because those things, they affect. I know they said you should not be on the screen at least 2 hours before bed, or things like that. There are things that are important. Just build healthy relationships, have sane friends. It's very important, whatever phase you find yourself, because those friendships will help form what you become, and even how productive you are and how active you are. If you have friends who are constantly nagging, complaining, or weighing you down and whatnot, you might not be able to produce the very best in yourself. So it's good to have all of that. So that is the angle about generally just being able to lead your family in good health. So these are some of the areas we can look at. And now for family finance. So finance is not about being rich. Sometimes when we talk about money, it's like, what's my 10K? What am I going to say? No, it's about if God has blessed you with 10K, your parents give you 10K every month. It's a responsibility. You have to handle it properly. You have to do it well. The Proverbs 31 woman did not sit down and say, oh, I don't have enough money or I can't do this. She even seems like a rich woman, and I'm sure it's because of how she's able to manage. Let's read some of the things. She says she considers a field and buys it. With the fruit of her hand, she plants a vineyard. She perceives that her merchandise is profitable. She looks well to the ways of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. So this in no way is saying it's only for those who are rich. It's just about planning. So it's about making the best of your situation, being faithful in the little that God has blessed you with, learning to manage now before bigger responsibilities come. If you are already a married man, you have to have this financial education. How do I manage my resources? If you are a student, there has to be that. We're doing Indomie and egg because that was what was affordable. That was what was cheap. That was what was fast for us. It's all of those things that you have to think about what works. So one of the first things we're going to look at is budgeting, and how important that is, that you have to budget. You have to learn to allocate your resources wisely. So even if it's 5,000 naira that you make in a month, as a student, as a young person, as a married person, as a upper, whatever it is, I make 5,000 naira a month. You sit down. Okay, in this 5,000 naira, I make 5,000. Okay, I will give offering. I will do. I will give my parents. I will give my siblings. I will give my friends. I will buy food. I will do that. You budget. Okay, is it 1,000 going here? Is it 2,000? Okay, transport to school. I'll pay for handouts. All of that. That helps you plan. That helps you know what to expect. That way you can see your finances. You know that this is what I have. And then for those who are married, there's no point about own budget, the wife in her own budget. You do it together as a family. That keeps you united. That keeps you guys going, working towards one goal. Because when you know that this is what comes into this family and this is what we spend on XYZ, you are able to plan properly. And even for your meals, okay, it's not like when your wife asks for money and the husband will be parrying. Yeah, using this, but he can see it because you've done the budget, you've done the planning together. You're going to prevent wastes. You're going to ensure, okay, if it's the health insurance you're doing, you know that we are putting X amount of money for health insurance. So nobody is surprised. Everybody's being carried along, and it's easy to follow. It's very important for us to know that you come together. You know, okay, if you want to save, you're saving so amount of money, and this is how you're going to save it and all of that. So budgeting is very, very important. In my family, we do that at the beginning of the year. We sit down and we talk about, okay, this is what we have, this is what we're expecting, this is what we usually spend on. We go through, okay, last year, what did we spend on? And that way it gives us an idea of how to plan. So when we start the year, we are starting on, okay, everybody knows that this is what we're doing, this is what we're hoping to do. That does not mean that surprises don't happen. Nigeria will surprise you, but it just helps you because you have a plan and you are not just all over the place. You're able to move in a particular direction. For us to lead properly, for us to move properly, it's good to have multiple streams of income. Now, this can be controversial because for some people, it's like, where is it going to come from and whatnot? But whatever you find yourself, I just spoke about students in university, and I'm sure many of us know them, that the same students that are in school with you that have read, some of them even pay their way through school. They are the ones that are in the hostel, but in the hostel, they have their kiosk or whatever, and they are selling provisions to other students. Some people are the ones that make hair and from that get money and all of that. Some people even do assignments for others. Some people do assignments for others and you pay them. Some people, me, have photocopied somebody's notes and the person collected money. All this thing is business. Now think about it now. That would have been a good hustle. But anyway, the point is, wherever you find yourself, as a husband, as a leader, as a young man, there's a skill that you must have. There's something you can, if you don't have the skill, you can learn it. Go for trainings. Now, with AI, we are able to train ourselves. You can even do free courses and get training, get skills that can help you bring something. With the way Nigeria is now, nobody can just sit down and say, I'm just folding my hair and I'm just waiting for one source of income that will really care for me. It doesn't matter where you are, whether you're a student or whatever it is, you would always, it's also good to have those extra opportunities. So ask yourself, what can I do? Am I a good speaker? Some of us speak very well, and you can speak there. Programs you can do. Some of us don't want to leave our homes now, thanks to remote working. You can do all of that. You can work for a couple of hours. Some of us are good writers. So it's all of those things. You merge all of those things, and you see that all of these skills have nothing to do with whether you're married or you're single or you're young or you're old. It cuts across everybody. And final point on just leading in family finance is the financial literacy part, that you have to read, you have to take courses, you have to understand debt, you have to understand investments. When we talk about this thing, especially for students now, it might seem like, what is my business? Like, how much is the money itself? The truth is, most leaders, most people that you speak to that are doing something with themselves now, they must have had, bits of these things, even from that learning process, from the secondary, from the university, from the service here. It's always a need that will point you to. For some of us, we actually made the move much later, when we had married and had children, because it was my son's issue that led me properly into entrepreneurship and business. But the truth is, I had started it in university. I had studied a bit of it. I had studied a bit of it in my service year. I would travel and get some stuff, even though then it was just more like I was just chilling. I was just doing it for, okay, this thing is in front of me, let me do it. I didn't really get it. But when that need arose, it was already, oh, something is in here. And then I was able to move to do that. So you can't just sit down and expect that magic is going to happen. As a leader, you move, you take initiative, you are planning, you're being a visionary, you're saying that, okay, we have to move from where we are now to where we need to be, and you make all of these steps. So you have to be financially literate. You have to know about, when we talk about investments, it's not till you have millions that you invest. It could just be in savings. There are all these companies that allow you to buy shares, you do things like that, and it doesn't have to be a lot of money. That 5K that you'd have used to buy burger, you can keep it somewhere. That shawarma money, you use it to, or why do you need 5 tops in one color, or just kind of things. You ask yourself, you speak, and you're able to do all of that. So all of this ties to how we lead, how we move, how we um, are just creatures that God has placed on this earth. So these are just the general things that I spoke about. Meal rotation, have your have your calendars, be very practical, be very realistic. Your situation, what works for you. I personally do mine every Sunday. So every Sunday I have a calendar what we're going to eat the whole week, and then we do that every Sunday. So I am not cracking my head on Monday afternoon. What are we going to eat? Or I ask my husband, I say anything. Then anything, 1 hour we are there, we don't know what to eat. It's just faster, it's easier. You go to your fridge, you go to your store. Okay, what do I have? What's about to go bad? You put it in the planning. That way you can eat it. Emergency fund, of course, when you budget, when you plan, when you're financially literate, you know. So that way something happens, an emergency, you're able to pull out of that fund. It's not taking you unawares. I've spoken about bulk buying and preservation. Depending on your situation, the truth is you can always do it. You can always make it work. If you are able to buy one cow and eat the whole year, it's way cheaper than having to buy meat every week. All of these things, if you cannot buy the one cow, you might meet 20 friends, you guys will come together, buy it, you share, and all of those things. Home-based income here is just talking about keeping it at home, and if in this world today it's saying, oh, I want to have my own, I want to do my own, everybody, your husband is going left, the wife is going right, she's building houses, he's doing his own business, they don't know what's going on. The truth is, when they come together, they work better. Now, as a single person, for you, it just means having that plan, having that focus, so that when you get married, you're able to carry this mindset into marriage, and you're able to be transparent with what you have, and it's not an issue that one person is not keeping this, one person is not keeping that. Imagine if both of you have been financially literate, and you have both been disciplined in budgeting, keeping your finances all right, and buying what you need and just managing yourself that way, and then you marry somebody who is the same. I mean, it's bliss, because you understand each other, and that process has already begun. So there's no sense of, oh, what are you going to do with this money? What are everybody's hiding and do that doesn't work. You keep it at home, you keep it focused. Even if it's one person that is doing the active work, maybe the wife is having children and has to pause active work or whatnot, and it's just the man. There's the need to be transparent. There's the need to and have, okay, who is the better person with resources? Okay, the husband is better with resources, or the wife is the one that is better with resources. You allow that person manage the resources, and you do the planning together, but one person manages it. Skill development is about what I spoke about, just learning the skill, getting extra income. It doesn't matter where you are. If you are bearing children, yes, you might have to pause for a while to focus on that. Once you're done with that, there are things that you can do even in the home. I run my business from my home. I try to structure it in such a way that it doesn't take me out of my home that much, because I want to keep an eye on my children. I want to be, very close enough. And that is how I've structured it for myself. So it's not that I am not working, or I'm just sitting down, I'm idle and not looking for, because I have children and tons of them, whatnot. No, it is that in doing all of that, I'm still active, I'm still doing trainings, I'm still trying to learn every day. So every opportunity you have, I have some friends who, get married and they're like, oh, I just want to be a homemaker and I don't want to do anything. And you're like, okay, won't you learn a skill? Won't you do a training? Won't you do something? The truth is, before 5 years, you haven't done anything, and you're finding it difficult to read, you're finding it difficult to learn. And if you look at the way the world is going right now, every field, there's some new skill, there's some new gadgets that they're doing, and people are evolving. So you also have to evolve, whether you're a man or a woman, wherever you find yourself, you always have to keep on developing your skill and tracking our wellness habits. Don't just sit down, don't just be segmentary, and you're not moving, you're not taking walks, you're not taking exercise seriously. It will affect you in the long run. So I have said so many things, but I'm also going to leave room for us to interact and talk about it more practically. But basically, what I've been able to say is the fact that homemaking, it's not just about the chores, it's the general well-being of the house. And what we've been trying to look at is how we can lead and how we can ensure that our families are healthy in our finances and in our health generally. So if we do all of these things, all of these things, it's not like there's anything set in stone that you will have the perfect family, but they are just steps that generally tend to work, that when we plan our finances, when we plan our health, then we're able to have a holistic home. So this is just a summary, tying everything together to say that, look, when you budget, it leads to that financial leadership. When you learn to allocate resources wisely, when you learn to use money for the right thing. All of this is leadership. It's in leading. So whether you are the homemaker, or whether you are the whatever you want to call yourself, whether you're the student or whether you're the worker, the 60-year-old, the 20-year-old, whatever it is, financial leadership, for you to lead properly, you should budget. Meal planning, it's just resource management at the end of the day. It's how are you managing your resources? How are you managing, oh, today we ate boiled rice. Instead of throwing that boiled rice away, I turn it into fried rice. I turn it into pudding. I do something with it so I don't throw it away, or so that my children don't get bored of the same meal. So you're preventing waste, and you're ensuring the health of your family. You're tweaking these things. Okay, today we did vegetable. Okay, tomorrow let's do this. Let's put this. Oh, we'll just put a sprinkle of carrots in here so we can get our veggies and those kind of things. Then caring for your family's health, it's stewardship. You're making the best of what God has given. God has given us our bodies. God has given us our minds to care for and to use. We see the Proverbs 31 woman and how she does all of this, that she ends. Even when her husband goes out, people are hating him because of how well he is. She's the one looking at, okay, what are we going to buy? Okay, I've seen this field. Oh, it makes sense. I'm buying that. She knows what she's selling. She's seeking out these things, and she's going out there to look for these things, to sell them, to make income for the family. She's buying fields. She's doing all of that. That's not somebody that is just sitting down and crossing their leg. It's somebody that is active. It's somebody that is doing the work. How do you manage your time, and your space? Is about discipline, it's about keeping order and bringing peace and productivity. So all of these things, you see how they are leadership, even in the home, serving others, and it's about influence. And that is what leadership is, that it's in service, it's not just in authority. So whether you're the wife, whether you're the husband, whether you're the young lady or the young man, it's all of these things. You're going to have friends, you're going to have guests that will come to your house and come to your space. How do you attend to them? How do you care for them? So the truth is, all of this is something that we all can relate to, and we all have a part to play in all of this. So I would round by saying that great leadership does not start with, when you get a title. It starts with leading where you are. And if you create order in your room, in your dormitory, you can do it in your office. So when you move from your dormitory to your office, you can do it. And if you serve with patience at home, you can lead with patience anywhere. When children come, you're able to transition. It doesn't shake you up that much because you've built a level of discipline. The Proverbs 31 woman has showed us that you can manage your home, you can build wealth, you can care for your family. It's not because it's easy. I mean, when he talks about how waking up in the morning and preparing and all that, you can already see the hard work, giving her people tasks. This is what you do. So for those who have people working under them, you're giving them the task. You're saying this, you do this, setting the pace for everybody. It's clear that she was disciplined, she was strategic, and she was faithful, which is what takes us back to the first passage that we looked at. Talk is cheap. Talk is cheap. You have to do the work. So let nobody leave this call today saying, oh, I want to be a great leader. Oh, I want to be a homemaker. Oh, I want to be. It is a lot of work. It is a lot of planning that you have to do. So she's the model for wisdom. She's the model for care. She's the model for resourcefulness. And even in Luke chapter 16, verse 10, it reminds us that if we are faithful in small things, God can trust us with more. And that is the heart of homemaking and leadership today. So just lead where you are, wherever you find yourself, in a dormitory, in a shared apartment, in the family home, or whatever it is, by managing your health and your finances. Homemaking is leadership, and leadership is stewardship. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Evelyn Akande, for that rich and practical session. Again, personally, I've been reminded that leadership truly starts at home, and it's not until we are married, or we have a husband or a wife, that we can actually start by taking care of our one room apartment and all of that. Thank you so much, ma. Um, it's time for the Q&A session. If you have any question, you can type it in the in-call messages, and I will read the question out so that she can answer as fast as possible. Mrs. Evelyn, I have a question for you, ma. I hope you can hear
Okay.
me well.
Yes, I can. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much, ma. You have really spoken well about family health and finance. So my question is, as a student, that okay, I have lectures, I go to school in the morning and come back at night, and I'm so tired that okay, like the best thing I could do at that time is just maybe get food, because if I overwork myself, I'm going to fall sick or something like that. So as a student trying to, build the skill of homemaking, how can I balance not affecting my education and still be able to take care of my hostel, my room, and all of that.
So everything boils down to planning and discipline. We all have 24 hours in a day, whether you're a student, whether you are your lecturer, whoever it is, you have 24 hours in a day. So to the same way you know what you make, you know how much you get from your parents, if it's your parents, if you are the one working and all of that. So you work with what you have. If there are times that you have to skip breakfast so you can eat lunch and you know there's no dinner, or if you can endure all through the day and make it for dinner, then you know that's your meal for that day. So you just have to plan with what you have. And there are times that you might have to cook because it's cheaper. There are times that you might have to buy food outside. Right now, things are really bad, but I know at least when I was in university, we used to have 100 naira, 150, stuff like that. So when we had money, we could afford to be eating out. In fact, usually the beginning of semester like this, we are always eating out. When the end of or towards the end of the month, when everywhere is dry, that's when you now start looking for Indomie and egg and whatnot. And as I gave the example of Indomie and egg was easy for us because first of all, it was cheap, and then it did the work. It sha fed us. We went for lecture, so it was sharp. It didn't waste time and all of that. So you have to find the balance. You have to have a conversation with yourself. This is what I make, or rather, this is what I have. If you're a student, this is what comes in every day. How do I split that to cover my feeding, to cover my transportation, to cover that without suffering? So you would know when you can eat out, and you would know when maybe you have to cook, or maybe you have to go without food, or maybe you just eat snacks that day. So that is how you balance it out, knowing very well that you still have to show up for lectures either way, because your lecturers are not going to hear whether you are hungry or whether you eat breakfast or not. So it's all about balancing it and having a very honest conversation with yourself, in your situation and where you find yourself. I don't know if that helped.
Yes, thank you so much, ma. Thank you again, ma. Does anyone have a question so that we can move to the next session? Or if you don't have a question, you can just make a comment for what you learned during the session. Okay, I think there's a question. Elizabeth Olorunfemi. Good evening, ma. Thank you so much for the session today. Mrs. Evelyn, during this session, you talked about budgeting, how that we can budget our income to avoid spending amiss. As a student receiving a known allowance monthly, how are we going to make a balanced budget, knowing there are times certain situations will make us spend from a supposed thing we are budgeted for?
Hey, Elizabeth, thank you for your question. So this is not even just for students alone. It happens even in our home. We have a budget, we have a monthly budget, and Nigeria will happen. You will spend more, you will spend less. Sometimes you go to the market and things are cheaper, thank God. Sometimes you go, it's way more expensive. Um, what budgeting is not like it's set in stone. It's just a plan. It's just saying, okay, I make 10,000 naira every month, or 10,000 naira comes to my hand every month. At least that's what I'm sure of. Is to say, okay, in that 10,000 naira, what are the things that are important? What are the things that I do every month? Okay, I will do offering because I go to church. I'm a Christian. I will buy food. You now say, okay, in a month, how many times do I buy food? Or how many times do I cook? You now put money aside for that one. You say, okay, well, sometimes I'll climb keke. You live, depending on how far your dormitory is from your lecture halls and all of that, you put that money aside. So that is really what it is. So it's never really set in stone, but it's just to give you a plan. So that way you know that when, if for example, 10,000 naira, you want to be saving 500 naira every month, you know that if you don't have 500 naira to save, maybe because something happened or whatnot, you know that, okay, maybe you want to plan to carry it over next month, or you just want to try and ensure that you have, but is written down so that you can plan, and so that it can help you to know this is where your money is going to, this is what you're doing. That way you can see your finances. That way, even if you have an opportunity to tell the person giving you money, oh, this 10,000 is not working, you can see it's there because you've planned it, and you've lived it out. You've been able to spend so far that you can see that, okay, in a month I always use X amount of money to buy food. I always do this, I always do that. So budgeting is really just about planning. You put in all the information and make the best of it, but you don't have to restrict yourself. It's not like you must follow everything that you put in that budget. I don't know if that was helpful.
Miss,
Okay.
okay, she said it was helpful. Someone said, "Great teaching. It's a blessing to me. May God help us to be a steward in our homes. Amen." There's another question from Christiana. Hello, good evening, ma. Thank you for the eye-opening session. I would like to hear your view on this. For some of us, especially navigating final year, we don't exactly have a schedule. You could literally get a call that you have to show up for lectures at the most unexpected time. Sometimes it's so bad that practical sessions that you have prepared for can just be postponed. How do you adopt flexibility in your planning such that it doesn't stop you from showing up for classes and academics?
Oh, well, this is tough, but I would just say it's just like the budgeting one, that as much as you plan, you have to leave room for the what ifs. We have a lot of times where we show up for lectures and our lecturers don't show up, and maybe you climbed back with your last 30 naira, and you just rushed down there and the man did not show up, and you're just like, what do I do with myself? I mean, that is life, that these things happen. You don't beat yourself up with it. So in that case, what do? You have to turn that situation around. If you live off campus, I used to live off campus. And if I enter school, then I have to make sure I do everything that I have to do. In that case, I can't go back home, because what that means is either I would have to use money to go back home, or I would have to start trekking home. And then if another lecturer calls you or something happens, you start coming back again. So in that case, you just have to stay. I will go and look for some of my friends that used to stay in the hostel. I'll stay with them all through till I'm done in the evening. Then I go back home. So you make the best of that situation. Maybe that will be the time you read, or if you want to go and prepare a meal or something, or you read a book or something, that would be the time that you make, you just have to make the best of the situation, because this is life and these unexpected things would happen. If it takes your money, this is where budgeting comes in, that because you have an amount that you must have put for miscellaneous, you know this can be covered under that something unexpected happened, so you have the fund for that, and you can deduct from there to say. So you don't have to, in life generally, as much as you plan, you have to always bear it at the back of your mind that you can't really tell how your next 5 minutes will be, how your next 10 minutes will be. You don't know. So leave room for those unforeseen circumstances. I hope.
Okay,
So
thank you
don't
so
get discouraged. Show up,
much.
show up. Don't get discouraged. Show up. Because the truth is, you need it more than the lecturer. The lecturer has knowledge already. You are the one looking for that information and for that knowledge. So you have to show up. You can't just sit down and say, I'm not going to show up for lectures because this man is always, he always messes up, or that kind of thing. You just have to. That's it.
Thank you so much, ma.
Someone
For the
was
last
raising their
question,
hand. I'm not sure if the person is still.
yes, Samuel, you were raising your hand. Do you want to ask a question?
Okay, Ma. Thank you for the insightful session. Yeah, I wanted asking because based on your story and your journey so far, most of those skills you actually learned were maybe by, I would say, um by your experiences, right? So I don't,
Yes.
in this
Okay.
time now, most of leadership skills, they'll actually ask for certain things, and by default now we might not be able to get them. So I don't know, with our presence now in school, where our mind have to be shifted from maybe school to go and learn other, how do we get to How would you get to manage learning those leadership skills while still in school and still focusing on our school work? I don't know if you get the question.
So do you have a course rep? I get you perfectly. I think I do. Do you have any
Yeah,
course rep? What year in
yes,
university are you?
yes, I am.
Now I'm saying what year? What year are you in your university in your education
Third
now?
year. In my third year.
You're in your third year. Have you ever been a
Yes.
course rep?
No.
Hmm? You've never been a course rep. Have you ever
No.
led any team in a project?
Well, I have
They've
a
given
few
you a
times.
project in school.
Yes, I have a few
You are a
times.
leader. I mean, these are opportunities. Have you ever given a suggestion to a lecturer? Oh, sir, we always have this meeting in the morning. Why don't we have this lecture in the evening? That's when we can study. That's when the weather is cool. We can concentrate. These things are not.
Okay.
So, as I said, leadership, it's not about the title. It's not about, oh, lecturer, senior lecturer, associate lecturer. No, it's about leading. It's about vision. It's about planning, that you are somebody who sees opportunities. Oh, there's a problem, and you move to find solutions to it. In your dorm, in your room, you sit down and you say that, okay, we are guys, or we are four guys in this room, and this person comes in late all the time. Okay, we should be allowing the person hold the key, since it's the person is always the last person that comes. You propose it and you people plan. So it mustn't be anything big, but these are the things that even learning to speak up and to ask questions is part of it, because leaders are not people that know it all. You will get suggestions from your staff. You will get suggestions from people that are way below you, that are younger than you, from your children. You have to listen. You have to take those suggestions. These are things that already happening. That, you might go to buy something from an akara seller and she'll tell you, oh no, don't do it like this, do it like that. Oh, you say, okay, does it make sense? Does it? So you pick it up everywhere. It mustn't be. And when life happens the way God has ordained it to happen for you would see that these things that you've been doing back then, they've understood. Any leader, anybody who is anybody today, must be disciplined. You are indisciplined as a student, it will carry you into your marriage, it will carry you into your business. You'll be indisciplined because you just do not know how to. When they tell you we have a 5 o'clock meeting, it is now you have to start learning to go 5 o'clock. And when you have a company and you employ staff, they would see that madam is always when she says 5 o'clock, at 5 o'clock is 5 o'clock. That's a culture. You've already shifted that community, you've already shifted that attitude. If you are somebody that is excellent, even the way, or you like excellence, the way you appear in school. I had colleagues, students who I knew that they probably didn't have, maybe they were the ones that were fending for themselves. With their two tops and two trousers, they made it work. They will always come out neat. People like that. They will never say, oh, I can't come for lecture because I just washed my top. Is bad. It did not dry. Oh, I couldn't iron. No, they will find means. Some people will do that charcoal ironing thing just to appear neat, because for them, presentation and coming out well is what matters. So you can make all sorts of excuses, but the truth is, wherever you are, in whatever situation it is, you have to make it work. I gave the example of the SUG people. I mean, they are students, people that are SUG president, people that are treasurer, people that do all those things. They will go and campaign. And sometimes they are your classmates, and you wonder, where did these people get the time to do that? It's the same 24 hours you have that they have. I spoke about those who do businesses on campus. It's the same thing, because they are not learning. There's nothing different but say that is happening in their environment. They just have been able to use their environment to make the best of it. Now, you might be someone who speaks very well. Some people have used that thing to be able to be eloquent speakers. You say, oh, don't worry, I'll go and speak for you. Give me something, don't collect money. Is it slowly? So it's in all of these things that you can pick. Some people is from university, they learn how to make food. Oh, this person makes indomie so well. Basic indomie, people million in because they do it very well. That discipline, to showing up, do it well, is what has helped them and has placed them where they are. So it's never perfect. It's never, all fine-tuned. It's just making the best of your situation in whatever situation it is. So never look at leadership as, that big word. Oh, till I have 500 people working for me, till I have a company, till I start working. And no, it's in all of those small, small things. Just taking the lead on a project, taking the lead on an assignment. Your lecturer asks, okay, who is going to do this? Who will take responsibility for it? You say, I will take responsibility for it. Who is going to be calling? We had people that used to go, they'll be the ones that will be calling lecturers to come. You don't think if that lecturer has something to do, is the first person he would think of is that person that is always coming me that, oh, sir, it's time for your lecture and things like that. So that is how you pick up these skills. It's not till you are big or till it doesn't magically happen like that. It's harnessing all of these other skills of discipline, of planning, of just showing up, of having, the mind to keep your finances, to keep your mind, to know that, okay, now it's time for me to drop my phone. I'm not going to look at my phone. I'm just going to go to bed. It's all of those things that eventually blow up to whatever bigger scale it becomes.
Okay, thank you so much, Mrs. Evelyn. Leadership is not about the title, but about seeing a problem and providing solutions. Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you so much, Ma. Now we are going to be moving on to the next session, and that is going to be taken by Mr. I don't even know how to pronounce the name well, so forgive me. Mr. Gbanaibolou Burutolu. Gbanaibolou is an innovation professional operating at the intersection of business and technology, passionate about building systems that unlock value and enable sustainable growth. With over 5 years of experience consulting for startups across Africa and Europe, he brings expertise in strategic planning, system thinking, product development, and innovation management. His work spans sectors such as edutech, health tech, AI, automobiles, telecommunications, and social platforms, guiding ventures from concept to scale. He currently supports the managing partner at Co-Creation Hub, Africa's largest open living lab and innovation ecosystem enabler, in co-creating high-impact programs and frameworks that empower startups through 5 pillars: product, talent, distribution, funding, and compliance. Gbanaibolou combines strategic clarity with human-centered design and systems insights. His enduring vision is to help shape Africa's transformation through classical education, the integration of faith and work, and innovation that delivers generational impacts and economic prosperity. And the topic he will be addressing this evening is leading through business, entrepreneurship as a tool for transformation. We can now have you, sir.
Hi, thank you for having me. Please confirm you can hear me. Oh, can anyone hear me?
You're audible, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. That's to the other laying this stone tone session from that to today. And Mark, thank you so much putting this also my Burutolu. I hard to pronounce, please. I don't know why. I don't know why more people pronounce my name. It's really easy. My name is Burutolu. Um, yeah. So without wasting much time, let's go into my session, and I'm going to be as quick as possible. So that's because we've been here for the last 1 hour. So and then we also need to go. But please, guys, I really need your attention, right? Because it's going to be a little bit academic. Well, it's not going to be all academic, but it's going to be really high level. So please follow me. I'm really passionate about this, and we're going to have a great time together. All right, thank you so much. As was said, yes, this is me. I am an innovation consultant. At the intersection of business, technology, and systems. I have a lot of interest in this area as well. Generally, I have a lot of interest in other areas of life, but in innovation, interested in different sectors and industries, from agri to healthcare to manufacturing to education, the built environment, and also the digital economy, where I work every single day of my life right now from the dawn. And I like to call myself like an adventure builder. Yeah. So currently, as said, as was read in the bio, I am working very closely with the managing partner at Co-Create Hub to co-create frameworks to support entrepreneurs and ventures and startups. And there are about 5 pillars of our support. Product, where we help the founders and entrepreneurs and business owners to really clarify on the product vision, on the vision they have for the product strategy, and also product optimization. And for talent, we really do help entrepreneurs, founders to not only develop the skills needed to launch a marketplace, but also to lead people as well. So people leadership. Distribution, we do help the startups, the businesses to have access to market, to different kind of markets. Design go-to-market strategy for them, and market penetration frameworks as well. For funding, we do not just fund businesses and startups, but we prepare the founders in such a way that their ideas and business are ready for investment, external investment and funding. Yeah, and lastly, we do guide startups and entrepreneurs and business people on compliance issues as well. So this is what I do every day of my life. Right now, my 9 to 5 job. Outside on Africa poor. Why is Africa poor? I know that if you ask 1,000 Africans, why is Africa poor? And I'm so very sure that we're going to get 1,000 different answers. But anyway, on this call, just to ensure that I'm not talking just to myself as we begin, can I have just 2 people share their ideas? Why is Africa poor? Please, if you want to speak, kindly raise your hand. And now, why is Africa poor? Okay, Victoria, please unmute and speak.
Okay. Okay, sir. Um, I think Africa is poor because there is poor management of resources, basically.
Great, thank you, Victoria. Why is Africa poor? Victoria said, Africa is poor because there's poor management of resources. Thank you so much. Is there another answer? Does anyone else want to give a shot to this? Why is Africa poor? Please don't be afraid. This is not jam question. Also, we are not scoring you. Why is Africa poor? I'm going to call a name. If no one is answering. Jacobs, I can see you. Grace, Jacob, are you there? Can you hear us? All right, let's move on. Why is Africa poor? So about over 10 years ago, same question was asked by a couple, Ugandan couple, in London. Nation after the presentation by the speaker in the seminar in London, and the name of that speaker is Wayne Grudem. So Wayne Grudem is an American. He's an American theologian who, in his first degree, studied economics, but in his master's and PhD, he delved into theology. So he was having this talk show, this seminar in London, and after the seminar, two Ugandan couple walked up to him and asked him, "Why is Africa poor?" He said, "I don't know. I don't know why Africa is poor." But anyway, the question began to nag him so very badly that he dedicated 4 years into the research. And he didn't do it alone. He went back to his friend in Harvard University, where he studied economics. His friend had become a professor already of economics at Harvard University and said, "I have this nagging question. Please, why is Africa poor?" They said, well, he said, "I don't know." They said, "Okay, all right. So just let's put hands together and go into this joint research project to investigate why Africa is poor." So they embarked on a 4 years research. And then when they were done, they wrote a book on why Africa is poor, or to answer the question, why Africa is poor, and then by extension, why are nations poor? This is the book. They came up with this book, and the title is The Poverty of Nations. So they discovered that there are about 95 reasons why nations are national at the national level, which are the laws, the political system, value, systems, political systems, and cultural values. But interestingly, there's something they discovered, or they proposed a solution rather, for poor nations. And what's the solution they proposed? According to their own research, again, their research was for 4 years, but the research materials that they used to come up with this thesis and this book spanned over 250 years of economic history. Please, guys, follow me very carefully. Chapter 1. This is how chapter 1 begins. This is how chapter 1 begins in the book. The goal: produce more goods and services. Okay? And the opening words of the book and of the chapter is as follows. In order to solve the problem of poverty in a poor nation, it is important to have the correct goal in mind. To discover this goal, we must first understand two economic concepts that determine whether a country is poor or rich: per capita income and gross domestic product. Once those concepts are understood, it becomes evident that if we want to solve poverty, the correct goal is that a nation continually produces more goods and services per person each year. I'm so sure this is very clear. But if it is not very clear, let me summarize and put it in a language we can understand. The poverty of nations. Why are nations poor? They are saying that nations are poor because there are not enough goods and services produced in that nation. So what do we do? According to their research, again covering 250 years of economic history, what do we do to help a poor nation prosper, right? And move away from poverty, produce more goods and service. Okay, please follow me to my next slide. Before you can see the global GDP of the world in the last 2,000 years, right? So the last 2,000, well, not 2,000 years, this is more than 2,000 years. Well, it's 2,000 years, but there's something very interesting. Before 1750, you can see that the GDP of the world was flat, okay? Before 1750, that's about 300 years ago, roughly around 300 years ago, 250 to 300 years ago, right? The global GDP was flat. What does this mean? It means that every single person was poor. There was chronic poverty across the entire landscape, okay? America was poor, Canada was poor, England was poor, China was poor, Dubai was poor, Africa was poor. The entire world was soaked in poverty, okay? Again, this is before 1750. But interestingly, if you look at the graph very well, something began to happen, that the GDP of nations began to rise. Again, look at the slides very well, look at the graph, okay? You see 1750 there, right? You can find 1750 here, and then you see the GDP, the graph is not rising. And this is 2008, right? So this graph ends at 2008. So something began to happen, right, at 1750 that changed the world together, that transformed entire economies, industries, and nations. What is that? Anyway, we're going to answer that very soon in the next couple of minutes, and then we're going to end from there. Please follow me to my next slide. All right. Why? Well, first of all, why was the entire world poor? Again, on your screen is another chart that divides the entire history of humanity into two umbrellas, okay? The inventive society and the innovative society. Remember this, the previous slide, right? This, the GDP of the world was flat from, well, infinity to where? To the 1700s. Now watch the next slide. The inventive society of the world, right, runs from prehistorical times till that 1750 that we saw in the previous slide, right? So what was happening anyway before 1700s? Society was quite very inventive. We cannot deny that, right? People were producing a lot of things, a lot of tools, a lot of there's water mills, there's gunpowder, there is quantum tools, there's a wheel. In fact, a few days ago, I was reading about or trying to investigate into medieval innovations. And yeah, people were quite very innovative back then as well, right? But yet, prosperity wasn't created, wealth wasn't created. Why? So you can see the second part of this division is tagged inventive society. So from 1780, something began to happen, right? on the chart, it's called Industry 0.1. Industry 0.1. So from this Industry 0.1, right, the entire landscape of the entire world began to take a different shape, different meaning, and different form entirely. Something was made. Machines were invented. And those machines that were invented began to really increase the productivity of men and also productivity of society. Once that happened, goods and services began to be produced in a very, very insane and unprecedented level that wealth and prosperity began to be created. Again, please follow the talk so far. Wayne Grudem, the theologian Wayne Grudem and the Harvard economics professor, said that the reason why nations are poor is because they don't create enough goods and services per person. Okay, the cumulative activities of individuals in a society sums up into the national gross domestic product, the GDP, right? Okay, and now this slide is showing the difference between the inventive society and the innovative society. The innovative society began when goods and services began to be created in a measure that infinitely surpassed anything humans had ever known or could ever do. All right, so Industry 1.0, Industry 2.0 now came in, right? Industry 2.0 is on our chart here, tagged mass production. Mechanization is the first industry. Mass production is the second industrial revolution. Again, something began to happen. The previous levels at which people were producing goods and services was infinitely surpassed. And when that was done, another insane amount of wealth and opportunities and jobs and prosperity was unleashed on planet Earth again. So not to bore you too much, let me quickly go to my next slide and also hurry up. This slide shows the mathematical equation of what happened. Remember, people were inventing, right? And they had great knowledge, they had ideas. Shakespeare to even the founders of physics, chemistry, biology, all of these great minds lived in this inventive society. They had great ideas and they were inventing a lot of things, the periodic table and so many things, right? But they were all poor. Why were they poor? This slide is showing that innovation is the function of invention and commercialization. Okay? Again, the previous slide. The inventive society only invented things, but you can't really call them innovative. Why? Because they had no ideas on how to commercialize their innovation, their invention. But what this society, that's the second, this inventive society did, the game changer for them was they invented things and then were able to invent new business models and commercialization models and frameworks that changed the game entirely. All right. Again, please, to ensure that you all are following me, okay, please, can anyone listening to me right now tell me which country is this? This country that you see on your screen. Please, which country is this? 70% are living in rural settings. They spend 52% of their income on food. Just 10% of the society went to secondary school. Life expectancy is 4 to 5. Electricity is just 20% in society. Please, can anyone guess which society is this? Anyone? Nigeria. Christina says Nigeria. Okay. Anyone else? Yeah, please, you can put your answer in the comment section. Nigeria. Ngosiki says Nigeria as well. Anyone else? All right. But at least you can all hear me. All right, Nigeria. Anyway, what you see on your screen is America. This is the United States of America. But this is not the United States of America of 2025. This is the United States of America in 1850. Yes, 200 years ago, America was like Nigeria. America indeed was like Nigeria of today. The entire landscape was poor, right? Actually, this is not just 200 years ago. This is 150 years ago. This was America. But something also began to happen radically in America that transformed the entire landscape. Please follow me to my next few slides as I also wind down. 1851, the Singer sewing machine. Before I talk about this, does anyone here know that before the Singer sewing machine was invented? First of all, is there anyone here who does not know the Singer sewing machine? Especially growing up with your mom having one of these in the parlor or sitting room. At least we all know this, right? Please give me reactions. Okay, so this is familiar to you all. Great, all right. So the Singer machine was invented in 1851. Again, how was America? America was this, right? So do you guys know that before the Singer sewing machine was was invented, the average human being on planet Earth had just 3 pairs of clothes? Before the Singer sewing machine was invented, the average human being on planet Earth had only 3 pairs of clothes. Then the wealthy people, or the wealthier people in society then, which were exclusively the monarchs, the kings, and those who are really close to the monarchy, had between 5 to 7 pairs of clothes. But the rest of society, the rest of the world, had only 3 pairs of clothes. Why? It was exceedingly expensive to own just one pair of clothes, and then the time taken to produce just one was about 14 hours, at least 14 hours if the tailor is very fast. But something began to happen that changed the entire landscape together and then opened up other industries. This machine was invented, and this machine could produce a pair of clothes in 1 hour. So it crashed the time it took to produce clothes. Clothing became very cheap, or at least cheaper than it used to be. And then things began to happen. Industries began to be bettered. So because there was a production of more clothes, right? Marketing was invented. The Singer sewing business was the first to conceive and also to design sales pipeline, advertising, distribution, fashion industry, right? And then what followed? Like I said, other industries began to open up in response to the demand for clothes. There was growth in steel, right, to make this machine, growth in wood, then thousands of jobs were created. And the single sewing machine was the very first, the single sewing business was the very first to even conceive and innovate on the idea of branches. This singular innovation, this singular invention turned and affected and transformed so many other industries. Next on my screen is the Ford Model T. This is also another revolutionary product or innovation or invention that transformed the landscape. What was the world like before this was invented? A group of national leaders of nations, held a meeting in New York. And they came from different parts of the world, from England, from Tokyo, and they all assembled in New York for a global meeting on how to solve the issue of manure from cow dung. Sorry, not cow dung, horse dung, right? So the carriage mobility machine or system was in vogue then. It was the mainstream. There were no cars, if you remember, and this was the late 1800s. There was no car, right? So the horses began pulling in society, and London itself, the London of today that we know, was filled up with the manure of horse, and it was also affecting New York, another great city that was also rising at that point. Anyway, they came to this national convention to try to come up with a solution, but they could not. The meeting ended in disagreement, in chaos, and everyone went back to their countries. Anyway, few years after, the automobile was invented. But again, just like every other invention, it was only the high and rich and mighty in society that had access to the vehicle. And that's where Ford came in. Ford took that innovation that was only affordable by the wealthy, the high and mighty in society, and democratized it to be available for the entire society. And what began to happen? It began to change society again, and began to transform societies, began to awaken other industries to plug in. Jobs were created, right? There was reduction in transport costs. Schools began to flourish. Why? Because attendance began to increase. The steel industry was on fire. Gas and rubber taxes, like the entire society began to be prosperous again, just because of this one singular innovation. All right, so let's come home. Eve was mentioning Indomie, that she was in school and it was just Indomie and egg. Indomie and egg. I was like, okay, I should see my slides because I had put this in my slides already. And then interestingly, my wife this morning made a breakfast for us, and it was Indomie and a lot of goodies inside. And after the meal, my wife asked me, "How was your meal? How was it? Was it good?" I refuse to comment. It was really good. But then in my head, I was like, okay, I have Indomie in my slides for presentation today. All right. Anyway, how has the Indomie noodles contributed to the prosperity of the world and the transformation of industries as well? Founded in 1988, These are the statistics so far. As of today, Indomie has 17 factories around the world. And what did they do? They produce 19 billion packs of noodles annually. Can you imagine that? 19 billion packs are produced annually. Again, think about that. You can't conceive that in your head. It's really, really off the roof. The demand for noodles in society today, society in the past, at least the last 20 years, has been really, really, really high. In poor nations like Nigeria and other African is in the menu of most households, right? And they are so very innovative that right now they are size, they have super parks in response to needs, in response to demand, especially single guys in universities, university students. They love noodles a lot, right? They just get one hungry man size, and then they down it with some maybe Coke or whatsoever, and they are good to go. Noodles has been, or Indomie noodles has been a lifesaver. But do you know the amount of industry behind it? How have you ever conceived the entire commerce and the entire production, the entire productive industry that gets that noodles from the factory to your table? There's distribution, there's agriculture, there is about 8,000 direct jobs, there's about 40,000 plus jobs in supply chain alone, right? There's 15 players in logistics, and the revenue is also really, really high. Over $1 billion in revenue from Indomie. Indomie currently is building a $1.5 billion deep sea port. And of course, Indomie has paid millions of dollars in taxes used in doing a lot of things in society today. Indomie, if you check very well and go do your research, brought another wave of prosperity and industry to the world. The last on my screen, again, is another homegrown innovation. At least for the last 3 weeks, I've been speaking to university students, close to about 1,000 direct I've had 10 direct engagements with university students on their campuses, like physical engagement across Southwest and also North Central. And Money Point has been one of the case studies I pull up from my slide to engage them. But pre Money Point, there was a world where access to how do I put it? Access to financial services, right, was also quite very exclusive to perhaps those who were middle class in society and also upper class in society. The Money Point innovation and the Money Point business brought in a revolution in digital finance that changed the landscape entirely. Again, if you can do your little research, you will see the great industrial revolution and awakening of other commercial activities in the marketplace today that Money Point enabled or unlocked. And what is that success currently? Well, it is unicorn. By unicorn, they mean a business that is worth over $1 billion in valuation, right? So Money Point expanded, right, or what they call democratized access to funds who are less privileged. All right. So what's the way forward for poor nations for especially for thinking in terms of Nigeria right now, because we are Nigerians. In my notes, there are 4 key areas I'm thinking around to prioritize market creating innovation. I'm going to talk about that very soon. Support entrepreneurs building for the many, enable scalable business models that unlock jobs. And the 4th one, use prosperity to drive governance reforms. So number 1, so what do I mean by prioritize market creating innovations? For entrepreneurs, for those who are looking to go into entrepreneurship, and also for those who really want to transform society through business. The only way right now, through studies and then through practice as well, is to prioritize market creating innovations. What does that mean? It means that look around you, right? And then see, try to solve problems that do have everyday occurrence, right? Problems that do have everyday occurrence for everyday people. Market creating innovation is a form of entrepreneurship that takes what is mostly affordable by the rich, the exclusive in society, and then democratizing it for those who are less privileged, and creating it for the larger mass of the market so that they also can have assets. The Indomie was made for the poor, for poor nations. Why? To solve the issue of hunger. Those who really cannot afford the wealthy things in life, right? So in pricing, Indomie was way more affordable. In sustaining humans, yeah, Indomie is an option like that, right? You take things that are very expensive in society that the less privileged, the poor in society do not have access to. You see how you can innovate on that and make it affordable to a new market in society. There's more into this, but there's no time. So please do your research on this further. Then you have greater ideas and clarity as well. Right. Second is to invest in entrepreneurs building for the many. What do I mean by this? I mean that as students, as even professionals in the workplace, we truly should support those people, those founders, those entrepreneurs that are good services for those who have access to those goods and services in society. We should support them in many ways, right? We could partner with them. We could give them ideas. We could even buy their products. We could market their product. We could advertise their products, right, and services. So please support such. And you can even work for them. Even as an employee, you can go with the spirit of entrepreneurship into a company in order to support the mission and vision of the company, right, in wanting to democratize access to goods and services for the many in society. That's what we mean by supporting or investing entrepreneurs building for the many. The third is to enable scalable business models that unlock jobs. What do I mean by this? For entrepreneurs trying to transform society or trying to bring a new innovation in society that would create a lot of opportunities and prosperity and wealth, the only way to do that is to innovate around a business model that does that, right? Innovate. Just think about how you can build systems, right, that attract funding and also that grows team that can come together to work on that idea from an idea stage into the market. The last is to use prosperity to drive governance reform. Indeed, by helping entrepreneurs succeed, we can build the economic base that strengthens civic power and fuels long-term reform. Why did I put this here? I put this here because of the popular Nigerian quote in the body politics today, that politicians are weaponizing poverty. Is that true? I think that's true. If you check very well, wealthier societies, by wealthier mean by wealth, like Western societies like America, the US, where the GDP is really high, the highest in the world, you don't hear such. You don't hear that politicians are weaponizing poverty. So it is really true that once citizens can gain economic power, when they become wealthy, they can use their wealth, right, to drive good governance, to achieve governance reforms. No politicians in those societies can actually weaponize poverty. And that is number 4, and also my last. I would like to end with this last slide, but with something I did. I built an AI tool last year. And one of the things I did was to prompt it with my idea and my vision of Nigeria. So this is Nigeria. This is what the AI tool gave me. This is a future. This is this futuric Nigeria. Anyway, so what does it look like? What does this dream look like? A transformed Nigeria. My dream: GDP per capita is $35,000. Currently, our GDP per capita is $8,800, right? Really, really poor. But my dream, healthy Nigeria, a transformed Nigeria, is that our GDP per capita will be $35,000 in my lifetime. Yeah, you may call me delusional, but well, that's what keeps me going every day. I get money till night. My 9 to 5 job is that I'm contributing to achieve a Nigeria that is $2 trillion is dollars, right? There's high quality education, thriving modernized agriculture, high tech market mix, production of complex goods and services, life expectancy of 90 years, led by transformational leaders, high quality public infrastructure. This is a transformed Nigeria I hope to see very soon. And the only people who can make this come into reality are builders, are entrepreneurs, are leaders who drive transformational change, are innovators, are inventors who can commercialize their invention for the mass market of our people today. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you very much to the team. And please, I'd like to take questions. Over to you, the moderator, if you can still hear me.
Yes, thank you very much, sir. My network for a moment. Thank you so much, sir, for that insightful session. It has really been a wonderful one since morning. It's time for the Q&A, and as fast as possible, I would like us to ask our questions. You can just raise up your hand if you like to speak, or you can just type your question in the in-call box. Let's do that as possible. Okay, Christiana is raising up her hand. Christiana, you can unmute yourself and speak.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I'm sorry, good evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
So I wanted to ask about, you mentioned something around people being inventors, like creating, would I say creating products or opportunities, like it can help in the, like it can help in increasing the GDP of a nation and all. Then he also mentioned that he said something around invention and commercialization, how that's the best way to come up with, I can't remember the exact word. But now my question is, do we all have to be inventors? I don't know if you get me. Okay, yeah. So innovation is invention plus commercialization. And I think he mentioned that one of the reasons why maybe we're not really, as maybe in Nigeria, one of the problems we have is that we're not really inventing, we're not creating. So my question is, okay, let's say people are now creating. Does it mean that we all have to like start creating products? Do we all have to invent new things, or rather have maybe selected people or just a number of population then creating? Then I think other people can come up with maybe in the management. And I don't know if you get my question. Well, my main question is that, do we all have to innovate? Do we all have to create? Do we all have to invent new things?
Thank you very much, Christina, for your question. If I would answer your question very well, yes and no. Well, by yes, what do I mean by yes? By yes, yeah, every single human being on earth today, especially those in poor nations, should try to apply innovation, new things, new processes, new tools, new machines in what they do. What would that do? That would enhance your productivity and also enhance your effectiveness. And then, most importantly, enhance your efficiency. Okay. Well, must everyone invent new thing into the world? Like you create a new, for instance, now you create a new phone, a new mobile phone that nobody else in the world has ever created before. No. Okay. Yeah. Not every single one do have the spirit of entrepreneurship, right? To be able to start a new thing, a new venture, or a new business, right? If everyone entrepreneur starting their own business, and then, well, the whole society will become chaos, because who will be the supporters of these entrepreneurs? Who would manage all the other functions of business, like you mentioned, right? So if you followed me very well, um, in my ending slides, I propose these four things you can see on your screen. Number one is to prioritize market creating innovations for those who are innovators, for those who are entrepreneurs. Number two, support entrepreneurs building for the many, right? So that is where most people come in, right? To be a part of the chain, right? So supporting entrepreneurs is very important. Now, what are those who support the entrepreneurs, right? Those who are not entrepreneurs themselves, those who are not um, innovators themselves, coming up with new things to launch into the market, right? Their goal or their role is also very, very important and strategic. They need to support those entrepreneurs that are building for the many. Again, yeah, does every single person in poor nations need to be entrepreneurs or innovators? Yes or no? Yes, in the sense that in the work that you do, right? In the work that you do as an employer, sorry, as an employee, yeah, please try to come up with something new, right? To contribute in the organization, in the company, in the firm, right? That puts your name um, in gold in the organization that you're in. Try, take up initiative, be initiative, come up with new things, right, to help the business, to help the owner of the business. And then no, everyone does not have to be a traditional entrepreneur or innovator. Yeah, so I hope that helps.
Yes, it helped. I think I was thinking of innovation in terms of products, but now that you've mentioned ideas, processes, new ways of doing things, I think I get where you're coming from. That we all really have to be innovative, and it does not just like, it's not just into maybe new products, maybe phones, or I was thinking of innovations in that line, but now I think I get it. I get what you mean. But my last question would be that um can you like shed more light commercialization and like explain what you mean by commercialization? How do we commercialize things? How do we commercialize our ideas or our
Sorry, are you still speaking? You were breaking.
oh,
Hello?
I don't know where I stopped, but I think I was saying that I was thinking of innovation in terms of products and can you still hear me?
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so I think it's much more clearer now that you've said that it's not just streamlined to products. I mean, innovations could be in form of ideas, it could be in form of process the like. So it's much more clearer now. Thank you. So my last question would be that it will be on commercialization. Can you shed more light on what commercialization is, and can you like explain or or can you tell us how we can commercialize things, how we can commercialize our ideas, products, processes, things like that? Thank you.
All right, thank you for your second question. Yeah, commercialization means in our own modern time, like what people use almost every day is monetization, right? So what innovators do of these days who are not very who are coming up with new ideas and also trying to monetize their skills, right? Is, hey, how can I earn from what I have made, right? So that's the first idea, right? How can I earn from what I have made, or what I can do, or from how can I earn from my skill? So they go back to their plan, their business plan, or they go back to the drawing board and come up with a strategy, right? Or with a model, or with a monetization framework, or with a monetization um, method, right? There are two things very cool in that regard. Number one, you look for the customers, right, that are willing to pay for that idea of that service or that product that you have, right? Of course, how do you identify the right customers for that? The customer, the, the market that has needs, right? You're looking for the customers that have a pain point or that have need for that product or service, right? Then you speak to you do some research, even if you don't speak to them directly, but at least you have a fragment of the market that you can engage, right? To feel the pain points and then see how um you can you can design a better business model for them, right? Again, right, you have to look into the market and look at the segment of the market experiencing a pain, and then you come up with a solution to that pain, right? And then that solution that you came up with for that pain should be a solution that the customers are willing to pay for. If the customers are not willing to pay for that solution that you've brought, then you can't commercialize it, right? You cannot. And then you also have no business because you just have a product or you have a service that nobody wants to pay for, right? So the best way of thinking about it is to start from the market. What's the need in the market? What's in the market? What's the friction in the market? And then how can I fill that gap? How can I solve that pain point? How can I solve that friction with either a product or a service? And then how can I earn from the solution that I've brought? Those are the core elements and also components in commercialization. Yeah. Please, did that help? All right, much clearer, she said. You're
Okay,
welcome.
so yes, sir. Thank you so much. Close. I would also like to ask a question. In fact, two. My first question is you described like for transformation to provide solution to a problem you can see around. That's when you made you gave us examples of single sewing machine, Indomie, Money Point, and all of that. So my question is that what distinguishes a business that's that just wants to make profits from a business that truly wants to transform the society? And secondly, I can live here now with, okay, I have the ideas, okay, I should start creating and all of that. So my second question is that many startup businesses, they have this excitement and all of that, but they fail within like few years or months because they don't have anything to sustain what they have started. What would you say, what would you can you give us like factors or steps that will help us to, you know, help our business to move from concept to growth, to sustainable growth?
Thank you very much for those very, very good questions. The first question, what's the difference between a business that is after profit and then a business that just want to make transformation? Well, there's no difference, right? Um, Adam Smith, about 300 years ago, also answered this question. He said the baker and the brewer do not render their services, right, based on benevolence. That's what he said. He said it in his book that transformed economic thought and society generally, the book called The Wealth of Nations. As you know, if you can remember from your secondary school days, that Adam Smith is the father of economics. So that's what he said. He said the baker, the brewer do not render or produce a product based on benevolence, goodwill. No. Guess what he said? He said that the baker, the brewer produce their goods and render their services by the consideration of their own interest. In fact, he termed it self-interest, that is profit. Yeah. So the most transformative businesses in the world today are those who are truly, truly profitable, right? They want to make profit. And then in wanting to make profit, transformation becomes the byproduct of it, right? Yeah, because if you are not if you are not profit driven or profit focused, number one, you would have no business. Why? Because you wouldn't have income or a cash flow that continues to sustain the business of the venture, right? You can't employ workers because you can't pay them, right? If you can't employ workers and you can't pay them, then your venture or your business will continue to shrink. You can't grow like that. You yourself, you'll be fatigued. You will not be motivated because you don't make money from it. Yes. So again, profit is good. I don't. Well, profit is good. I have the worldview or the mindset that it's good to healthily pursue profit. It's very good. It will transform society, to transform your business, and it will even transform the lives of others by creating jobs so that they can come and then you can pay them. They can take care of their families, or they can do great other things with the salary that they get from the profitable business that they are working in. So profit is a good thing, right? And then as the business continues to grow, yeah, transformation is a byproduct of it. If you want to be a business that is not profit driven, then you have to be a for non-profit. If you're a for non-profit, it means that you're a charity organization. But there's also a scholarly research that NGOs and for non-profits do not bring any transformation. That how do they get their money to even run? They get grants and fundings, right? But where do those grants and funding come from? They come from businesses that are profitable, because if businesses are not profitable, then they would not have extra cash to even give the for non-profit organizations. So you see how the whole chain of thinking goes around. Yeah. So you have to be an NGO if you don't want a for-profit business, and you're just pursuing positive impact or societal impact alone, but yet it's not as impactful as for-profit businesses. So this is very high-level academic research that has been done as well. So you can always Google and take and learn some more about that. The second question as regarding the failure of startups or startup failures, that's currently my number one passion in my 9 to 5 job. In fact, I got my 9 to 5 job based on my presentation to the company on startup failures, right? Yeah, I had failed in my startup, one of my startups I was trying to start, and then I was so very depressed. I had to go back to school to learn and also talk to people, and then also do a lot of reading and research. Harvard University and some other top business schools had done research into why startups fail, right? Why startups fail. And the summary of it is that the biggest reasons why startups fail, according to the research, there's even an infographic on this at Statista, is lack of product market fit. So those are some technical words, but what does that mean? So it means that you have an idea and you're selling something in the market that the market does not need. Simply put, you're selling something in the market that the market does not need. But how do you de-risk that? How do you de-risk your business? How do you de-risk your startup so that it would not fail within the first 4, 3, or even 5 years, right? Is by truly looking into the market. Your all right, let me put it this way. So most startups fail because they don't study the market, they just have an idea in their head, and then they begin to build this business, and then brought the business or the service to the market, right? So they start with idea. But how do you prevent that from happening? The solution that was provided, that I also believe in deeply, is that you don't start with idea in your head. You start with the market itself, right? You go into the market and look for a problem to solve, a problem that is so very painful that people will really, really buy the solution for, if you come up with the right solution for it. Okay? You're looking in society, you're looking in the lives of people, you're looking into the market and trying to see, okay, what are people struggling with? What do they really need? What's really hurting them? And then from there, you take that problem or that pain, you go into your own private laboratory and then design a business and a solution to meet that need or that pain point. That way, you'll be able to come up with a business or startup that truly addresses a problem that exists in the market and that people are willing to pay for. So by the time you launch, you already have a segment of the market that are willing to patronize you, right? And are willing to buy your solution, buy the service or the product that you've brought into the market. Yeah, so that's like the top level way to de-risk your product. There are a lot more others, but I don't think time will permit. You can always reach out to me whenever you then we can talk more about it. Yeah, but that's what I do on a daily basis. This year alone, I've incubated over 100 startup founders in one of the programs I run, and I really, really emphasized, or we really did attack this issue very well in the incubation program. Yeah, so I hope that helped a bit.
Yes, sir, it did. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you again. What an amazing evening it has been. We have had the privilege of hearing from our speakers and on how to lead in the home and even in business. I would like to sincerely thank our speakers for their time, Mr. GB and Mrs. Evelyn, for how much value you have poured into us this evening. And as we'll be drawing this conference to a close, thank you so much to everyone for showing up for your time. I want to be sure that we are leaving this place with ideas that can solve the problems that we see around us. Again, my name is Victoria Oyetade, and it has been a pleasure guiding you through today's session. Now I will hand over to Mr. Elijah Stevens for the closing remarks and announcement.
Yeah, thank you so very much, Miss Victoria. I'm glad you're able to work on this with me. I'm grateful as well to Mrs. Evelyn. That was an insightful session. Thank you as well, Mr. GB. But glad to have you on board. Thank you for this amazing session as well. So I'm grateful to all of you for made that time to be present here. Thank you for your support. I would say that without you, there will be no conference as it were. So thank you very much once again. Now to say that we have this on YouTube, so I'll be sharing the link later on, so that if you want to listen, you can go back and just listen again for yourself. Perhaps you miss some things and you just want to catch up on those things, right? And also, there are people who, for one reason or the other, just joined this particular session and maybe not on the WhatsApp group. So I'm going to send the link. You can just join the WhatsApp group directly. That's more like the community that we are building at Lead Africa, and I would love you to be a part of it. So to say as well that this event was organized in partnership with Masterpiece Publishing and Creative Solutions, and at the moment we are organizing a training for creatives called the Creative Influence Masterclass, writing and public speaking. If you're interested in that, you can please reach out to me later on so that we can discuss further. So if you're in the WhatsApp group, uh, in fact, you can reach out to me easily if you're on the WhatsApp group. If you're there. So please, we can talk about that later on. Yesterday, I think someone asked Mr. Daniel Olushola if he offers paid classes for classical education. He said yes. So again, if you're here, you're interested in learning that, you can um, reach out to him as well. So you have the slide from yesterday's presentation. Um, Yes, and in fact, you can always access all of those things. And Mr. GB also mentioned that if you need to know more about all of the things that he said tonight, you can also reach out to him. If you perhaps not know is in that WhatsApp group, or if you unable to get access to him directly, you can reach out to me, and I will be able to direct you on how you can reach out to him easily. So thank you once again for your time. Thank you for all of you who have supported this far, and we can only encourage that you look forward to more events from Lead Africa, and we'll get to update you as we make those progress. So thank you once again for coming, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of your evening. This brings us to the end of the National Campus Leadership Conference 2025. And we hope to have other events, and we hope to have physical events as well. So more of those details you will get from us as we make progress. So thank you once again, and good night.